back, everyone, to Comic Sans, the podcast about comics for those who are sans knowledge. I'm Yen, and I've been enjoying a luxurious break between seasons because we are now in season 2 of Comic Sans.
Well, and I'm Nat, and I, for one, am extremely grateful to everyone who voted for us at the Signal Awards. I think the last you heard from us officially on this podcast, we were nominated for a Signal Award in the Best Buddy Podcast category. And we are so grateful that we managed to win the award, both the judges' pick and the listener's choice. So thank you everyone who voted. Thank you for everyone who listened. Thank you to the judges. And we are just raring to go into season 2, Yen. How do you feel?
I feel good.
You feel good talking to me again, being in the same room as me?
I don't actually.
Well, how do you think I feel having to read comics again?
Okay, that's unnecessary. That's like really personal, actually. That's really helpful. Yeah, that's really.
And everything you said before was not personal.
No, everything I said before was quite fair. I think was quite fair and measured.
But anyway, yes, welcome back to season 2, everyone. We're back. We're bigger. We're bolder. We're
okay. I don't know.
Butt naked.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
You know, and we've made some changes to the format of this show yet. I don't know if we want to reveal that right now.
No, we can talk about it. We can talk about how this is actually Nat's last episode of Comic Sans.
Yes, and now I'm gonna be replaced by AI.
Yes, we will be replacing Nat, and it's gonna be one of those the AI girlfriend. So this is now a romance podcast.
Nice.
Between me and an AI girlfriend.
But wasn't it always a romance podcast?
No, not even slightly. Not even for the bit.
But yes, we're making some slight changes. Nothing drastic. Nothing life-changing.
No, nothing.
But one big change is, you're not going to hear me read the comic anymore. And we'll get to that in a bit. We did receive some scathing feedback that nobody likes to hear me read. And
we did get several people saying that it just sounds like Nat's trying to prove that he can read.
Right. Sort of like, what's that actress, the Glee one?
Oh, that's Lea Michele.
Lea Michele. Yeah, like I was having my Lea Michele moment every episode, proving that I can read words.
And actually, the monitors he was wearing, like his headphones, was just like someone feeding the audio into him, like that episode of SpongeBob.
And I was just like mouthing along.
Hold on, I'm talking about SpongeBob.
Okay, please go ahead.
That episode of SpongeBob where Patrick is teaching SpongeBob how to drive during the driving test. Do you remember that episode?
No.
Okay, let's get to the show.
I'm ready to step back into the world of text and image marrying together in a beautiful symphony of comic bookdom.
Wow, that was pretty good, Nat.
It's pretty good?
That was pretty good.
Pretty good?
Nat, who do you think my favorite superhero is?
Ooh. Well, how do you define superhero? Because you love Hellboy. But he's
not a
superhero? Okay.
Not
so what's the definition of a superhero?
Just,
Okay.
I'm mainstream. We'll just it's mainstream Marvel DC. Okay.
Superman.
Wrong.
Really? I feel like we talked about that in the Superman episode.
Yes, and I don't think I said he's my favorite.
Well, you talked about how much you loved him.
Yeah, but I love a lot of them. But which one's my favorite?
Okay, can I narrow it down?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it Marvel?
Yes.
Is it X-Men?
No. I don't even consider the X-Men superheroes, to be honest.
Really?
No, I think they're like power.
Wow,
they're
that's kind of discriminatory, I'm gonna say.
No, they're like no. Oh.
I don't know. I'm just saying things.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe you're right. No, but I think they're like a paramilitary. That's why they're cool. Wait a minute. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Nobody clip that.
Okay. I'm just gonna go through the list then. The Hulk.
No.
I'm just gonna go through all the Avengers right now. Spider-Man.
No.
We've already read Spider-Man. What am I saying? This is gonna go on forever. Nobody's gonna enjoy this. Just you gotta give me a clue. Give me a clue.
His real identity his first and last name start with the same letter.
It's not Peter Parker.
No.
And
it's not Bruce Banner. Who's the Hulk? So you ruled out 2 of those already. So this clue, not helpful.
Hey, let me know if you're enjoying this, guys. If you're enjoying this bit, hey, write into our new email.
Oh, yeah, we got a new email address.
comicsanspodcast@andasproductions.com. Look at us, owning our own domain.
Yeah. comicproductionsans@andas.com.
At andas.yennet. Just
Okay.
Give me a better clue. Give me a clue
he was played by Ben Affleck.
I don't only know Batman then. Did Ben Affleck not play Batman?
He did play Batman.
Yeah, but that's not Marvel. I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to trick you. Yeah, no, he didn't.
What are you?
No, okay, it's Daredevil.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that in like the next half an hour. So thank goodness.
Did you see that movie with Ben Affleck?
You think I did?
Maybe,
bro.
Honestly, I think anyone who's seen that movie would never read a comic again. It's an awful movie.
No, then I've not seen it. No.
Okay, but have you heard of Daredevil?
He's blind.
Okay.
That's all I know. He's
Okay.
blind. He wears red.
Okay.
His suit makes me think of the Flash, but I know that's wrong.
Yep, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Yep, that's firmly wrong. Yep,
so
you're right on
that's
that.
all I know.
You're right on that. You're wrong.
He's
Yep.
blind. Is he a stuntman or something?
No.
That's what Daredevil makes me think
No,
of.
I think you're thinking of Ghost Rider.
I don't even know who that is.
You know who Ghost Rider is?
Let's not go there. Is that
Okay.
Nick Cage?
Yeah, see, you do know who Ghost Rider is.
I didn't know I did that. I didn't know that was a
Give
comic.
him a medal. Give him a medal.
I didn't know that was a comic. Was it a comic?
Oh, brother. Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
You know, a lot of people think that I play this up. You know, that is a bit. That actually I know things, and then like for the sake of this podcast, I pretend I don't know things. Let me
No,
just
you
make
can't.
it
You can't.
exceedingly crystal clear, dear listener. Everything I just said I don't know. I don't know.
You can't fake what Nat's doing. I'm just
Exactly.
saying.
You know, I
can't
think
fake it.
I think, and that's why I'm an award-winning podcast host, because no one else can do what I do. You know, it's not easy to be this ignorant.
You know,
about a
actually,
particular-
honestly, yeah, anybody can know things about comics and talk
Exactly.
about them. I'm the redundant part of this
Exactly.
podcast.
So actually, the real
Nat
reveal
is the
is
part that's gonna stay
we're gonna replace Yen with AI
with an AI girlfriend.
because we realize that AI can't do what I do.
No.
AI knows too much.
Actually, that's true. And
It's
AI
true.
couldn't do what you
You
do.
can't ask ChatGPT to play dumb. It'd be like, what? Anyway, that was a digression. Back to Daredevil, please. Lay it on me. I'm so excited to hear about this blind
So Daredevil.
dude.
Daredevil. My first Daredevil comic was probably Daredevil Yellow. Because his original costume was actually yellow.
Was this one of those like Superman red and blue things where like all the colors are yellow? Look at me knowing things now. Hey, if you don't get
That
what I'm
was pretty
talking
good.
about, listen to the bonus episode about Superman,
bonus.
red and blue. But yes.
We've also got feedback that people don't like me doing that. Bonus.
Okay, yes, it's Daredevil
So,
yellow.
Daredevil Yellow, because actually the original character, when the character first appeared, his suit was yellow.
Okay.
And that book is by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. And that was a return to the origin of the character, and I read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this
What
guy's
year are
the
we talking about?
coolest. When I read this,
Like the comic
Oh.
came out. Like, is this an old comic?
it's not that old. I'd say it's maybe late 90s, early 2000s. And so Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale are returning to the character, and they're revisiting the origin, and I loved it so much that I just went through the whole library, because this was, of course, in a library where I always am, where I've always
shout out
been.
libraries.
Shout out libraries. And then I just started pulling all the ones down the shelf, right? And
Mhm.
over the years, I've probably amassed the single character I have the most comics of is probably Daredevil.
Oh, that's a surprise to me.
Yeah, that is surprising.
You know
right?
why it's a surprise to me?
Why?
Because I've been in your room and I've ransacked your comic collection looking for things. I don't recall seeing a lot of Daredevil.
No, see, but you ransacked the trades.
Ah.
You didn't ransack my floppies, which are in different boxes.
Oh, wow.
Because the trades can just be out there in the open air. So the trades, probably the most I have is X-Men.
Right. Yeah.
But the floppies, it's probably Daredevil.
Interesting. Okay.
And that just shows how dedicated I am to the character, because the floppies take up a lot more space and
Yeah.
they're way more expensive.
Yeah.
And you're getting them every month.
Yeah.
So I'm going to the shop every month to get Daredevil. And I'm getting Daredevil across different characters.
Okay. You want me to clap for you or something?
Yes,
Or what do
I want you to
okay.
clap for me. Clap. Thank you.
2.
No, I want you to know, because I'm pointing to something, right? Which is that Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale wrote Daredevil Yellow. That wasn't like a mainline Daredevil book. That wasn't Daredevil like 1, 2, whatever.
Right.
But across that mainline Daredevil book,
Uh-huh.
there's been, I'm going to rattle off some names. You're not going to know most of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay? But the first one you're going to know, Brian Michael Bendis.
Oh, yep.
Brian Michael Bendis wrote an incredible run of Daredevil. And Nascenti wrote an incredible run of Daredevil.
Who?
Chip Zdarsky wrote an incredible run
You
of
know,
Daredevil.
I'll just try.
Charles Soule wrote an incredible run of Daredevil.
Mhm.
Frank Miller,
Hmm.
does that sound familiar?
Nope.
Frank Miller, writer of 300,
The movie?
which was a comic.
It was a comic?
Okay, let's keep going. Frank Miller wrote an incredible run of Daredevil, right? So many people have written incredible runs of Daredevil.
Right.
I argue, and I always say this, that Daredevil is probably the single superhero that has had the most consistency across the line, right? That he's just got the most knock it out of the park, great arcs, great comics.
And that is a function of...
I'm going to get there.
Okay.
I'm going to get there. Right? Okay, so we're going to go through some of the details of Daredevil, right? Right. Is there something innate about him that makes
Yeah.
him so incredible
Yeah.
to all these creators? Okay, so first detail,
Mhm.
Daredevil's name is Matt Murdock.
Matt Murdock.
MM.
You know,
I gave you all the clues.
yeah. Useless clues.
Secondly, Matt Murdock is the son of battling Jack Murdock.
What?
Okay, that's his dad.
Battling Jack?
Battling Jack, because he was a boxer and that was his moniker.
Okay.
Okay? And Jack Murdock raised Matt by himself, single dad,
Okay.
and dies in the ring.
Oh, no.
That's a lie. I'm wrong.
What?
He doesn't die in the ring. He dies because of what he does in the ring, which he is told to throw a fight,
Okay.
and he refuses to do so
Okay.
because he sees his son on the sidelines, and he's thrown fights before, and he's become kind of this joke, and he doesn't want to go that way.
Yeah.
And then after that, he gets taken out by the mob because he ruined a lot of people's gambling.
Right.
That's in the original comics, and that's also retold in Daredevil Yellow.
Okay.
Okay. Third detail.
Sure.
Now this is interesting.
Is it? Because the first two, they were okay.
Matt Murdock is a devout Catholic.
Oh. Is this like the only sort of like religious?
He's not the only
superhero?
one. He's not the only one, but I'd say he's definitely the most prominent religious superhero. I think second place would be Nightcrawler, but Nightcrawler's just not his biggest character. But Nightcrawler literally becomes a minister.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But Daredevil doesn't do that. But Daredevil, after his father dies, and already his father was raising him as a Catholic, he gets raised by nuns.
Okay.
And so this is very unusual for superheroes, which are generally pretty what's the word I'm looking for?
Secular?
Secular. There we go.
Hey, look at Yen not knowing something for
winner,
once.
chicken dinner.
And can I clarify, at this stage, his dad dying, raised by nuns, is he blind yet? Where does the blindness come in?
Yes, but I'm going to get there.
Okay,
I'm gonna
okay,
get there. I'm
okay.
telling you this a little bit out of sequence.
Okay, okay.
And so with that, Daredevil has a lot of superheroes have guilt, right? Batman is driven
Sure.
primarily by guilt, so is
Yeah,
Spider-Man, right?
yeah.
But Matt Murdock specifically has Catholic guilt.
Oh.
Right? And so there's the guilt to the people around him, but there's also the guilt in that he's, the result of sin.
Right.
And to be fair,
His fallen nature.
this is the fourth fact. Matt Murdock is a real, can I say this word?
Go ahead.
He's a slut.
Oh.
He's also perhaps the most sexually charged superhero.
He got that testosterone.
He's sleeping around everywhere. This is a major facet of
No
the
wonder
character.
you like him.
Okay, hold on.
Hey, I'm
Hold
just
on.
saying.
Well, okay, this goes back to the guilt, which is now we're taking a real turn, which is that most of his girlfriends are dead.
Wait. To clarify, they were dead not while he was seeing them or sleeping.
No.
You didn't clarify. Most of his girlfriends are dead. What does that mean?
most
Like he
people-
goes to the graveyard and then he's like,
in
"Hey, I
polite
like
society don't need that clarification." Okay?
It's the world of comics.
What I'm trying to say, my point with the girlfriends also, with many of his lovers having passed away,
right,
almost always because of actions he's taken as Daredevil.
right, that people take revenge on him
Yes.
via his lovers.
Yes.
Okay,
Is that he has all this guilt, and he's kind of should.
he kind of should
Some of it,
because
kind
he's
of.
a slut.
Okay, no, that's not what I'm saying. We are not sex shaming
yeah,
Daredevil.
no, it's an indirect thing. 'cause it's-
Hold on. Okay, watch
Okay,
yourself.
whoa.
Watch
Sorry,
yourself.
let me correct myself there.
Okay, ready? We're
For what?
We're at fact 5 now.
Oh, okay.
Do you see? This is already crazy. This is already the making of a wacky superhero.
Yeah. Go on.
5.
Yep.
He's a lawyer.
What? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And for a long time, he was a prosecutor,
Okay.
right? And so what that means is that he would try and convict people in the court of law,
Mhm.
and he would sometimes fail, and then you put on a mask, and Daredevil would finish the job.
But not in the court of law.
No, it's happened
Court of the streets.
in the court of the streets.
Yeah.
But it's also happened the other way around, right? Where Daredevil catches a guy, brings him to the police, right? And then Matt Murdock finishes the job by convicting him.
That's insane.
So in terms of like dual identities, I don't think there's any other superhero, right?
Where the two kind of converge and can kind of like interplay with each other. in that way.
Exactly, right? So we've got Clark Kent, who's a journalist, but we don't really think of him that much. Like there's a lot of great stories about him being a journalist, but every Daredevil story is about him being a lawyer.
Right.
Like that's
right.
not something that's ever avoided.
And I guess Spider-Man takes pictures of himself, but the photographer part of his
Yeah.
identity isn't part of bringing criminals to justice.
And then he's also a scientist. He's also like 8 different things. So
Yeah,
it's not like
yeah.
it's not, at one point he was a CEO.
Peter Parker?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get to that part of the story.
No, we'll never read that.
Oh.
I'm sorry if you like that part of the story. I don't think many people do, but we're never gonna read. That
No, okay,
run of
I get
silence.
it. This
Okay.
dual identity, it's sort of it's interesting interplay. Okay.
So
Is there a 6?
there's like I think there's 10.
Oh my god. Strap yourselves in, folks.
Okay, 6.
Okay.
This is a short one,
Okay.
right? So his dad's moniker is Battling Jack Murdock.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil's moniker, when it's not Daredevil, is the Man Without Fear.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna get to why. Okay, 7.
7.
Seven.
Heaven. I don't know what I'm saying.
You don't have to weigh in. Sometimes you can just let me talk.
I'll just replace myself with AI right now.
7. Okay, and this one's kind of funny, right?
Okay.
Okay, so
It better be.
so the Avengers, they guard the whole world,
Sure.
right? Spider-Man guards New York City.
Yeah.
Batman is Gotham City.
And that's the whole world.
Clark Kent, Superman is Metropolis. Daredevil guards Hell's Kitchen
In New York?
in New York
Just
City.
the neighborhood.
Just Hell's Kitchen. That is exclusively what he does. There's times when he goes out and he does other things, but primarily Daredevil is the vigilante of Hell's Kitchen.
So something happens like 2 streets down out of Hell's Kitchen. He's like,
that's
nah,
the-
dude.
that's the
That's
joke,
not
that's
me.
the
That's
joke.
that's Peter Parker.
No, but that's so that's his domain, right? And it's like it's not even like a borough. It's not even like
Yeah.
Queens. It's just Hell's Kitchen.
Right. Okay.
Okay, now we're at 8.
Sure.
We're finally getting to it, Nat. We're finally getting
To the blindness?
to Daredevil's powers
Oh.
and the blindness.
Okay.
Okay. So 8
Yeah, what
is what happens to him as a kid. Okay? 8 is what happens to him as a kid. Which he's walking down the street and he sees this truck careening
Wait,
forward.
let me reenact this, okay?
Okay.
So you describe it and I'll be
Okay,
again.
okay.
Let's go from the start again.
Okay. He sees a kid walking down the street
I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid.
and he sees a truck careening down the street.
Oh my god.
What's the sound? What's the truck sound like?
Oh
Okay, and there's an old man crossing the street.
my god.
An old blind man crossing the street.
I can't see.
I don't like this. And he can't see the truck.
That sound I hear.
Matt Murdock does.
Oh shit.
Matt Murdock, his dad's always taught him how to do the right thing.
What did my dad say? Always do the right thing, son.
He runs, tackles the old man out of the way. Right as the truck starts to tip over, dropping a vat of toxic waste that falls onto his face.
My eyes.
That's why Daredevil's
At
blind.
least give me a clap, lah, dude.
No. No, I don't have to do anything.
After all that.
I don't have to do anything.
Hey, if you enjoyed that performance, drop an email to comicsanspodcast@andusproductions.com and just let me know you appreciated that.
Get ready for no emails.
Or you can, we recently learned very late into our podcast journey.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
Spotify has like feedback or questions and answers or something like that. Just, if you like that moment, just write there, hey, I really love the moment where Nat reenacted the origin story of Daredevil. Just put that in there for me.
Okay.
I'm just coming in now to clarify. Twice now in this podcast, I've said the wrong email.
No, you said the right one.
No,
you
it's the
said
wrong
right one.
email.
No, you said
So
the right one.
I just want to clarify. My producer has flagged to me. It's Comic Sans
at
shut up
Productions and us.
Comic Sans
Production and us.
at andusproductions.com.
Productions&us.edu.
The podcast is implied.
.edu.
Because you're not writing to the font. So
Yeah,
if
so
you
right-
if you have feedback about the font,
Right.
don't write it to this email.
Yeah.
Because we won't be able to do anything about it.
Oh well, you could.
You
You could. If you just wanna vent.
yeah,
Well, this is a fun fact. This is a fun fact that I love to deploy on people. Really
Sure.
spoil their mood.
Sure.
Right. So people always talk about, Comic Sans is so ugly. Comic Sans is so ugly. Why does one host look like no? No. I didn't have that. That wasn't my plan. That just presented itself to me. Comic Sans, the font is so ugly.
Yeah.
It's so
yeah.
It's actually
it's kind of made a comeback though.
no, but it's actually an accessibility thing.
Oh yeah, because it's got
It's-
no serifs.
It's the easiest font for dyslexic people to read.
Yeah. So hey, all you haters,
Yeah.
shut up.
Okay, Nat. All right.
Anyway, back to the origin story.
Right,
A
okay.
vat of toxic waste falls in his face,
And so that was 8. Okay, now we're at 9,
and then he becomes blind.
and he becomes blind.
Okay, but no powers at this point.
no power.
Not because it's toxic waste. Oh,
That's 9.
Oh,
we're at
no.
9. We're at 9. Right, which is the toxic waste. Right, took away Matt's ability to see,
mm-hmm.
but it heightened all his other senses. So name a sense for me.
You're really testing me here.
Yeah,
Hearing.
hearing. Right. Okay, so Daredevil can hear a sound 20 blocks away. He can hear your heartbeat, so he can tell when you're lying,
That
which
must
is
be
especially useful for a prosecutor.
Really annoying though. Can he turn it off?
Well, no, but we'll get to that. That's 10. That's point 10. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Name
so
another sense.
Smell.
So he can smell the cologne you're wearing, right? And
So
he can
can I.
smell. Well, he can smell the cologne that you wore a week ago,
Oh.
right? And if you met someone who was wearing cologne, he can tell that cologne, and then he can track that cologne, right? So if he meets somebody who says, "Oh, I'm not going to pursue my case anymore. I'm too scared. I got threatened by a mobster," he can smell the cologne of the mobster, find the mobster, and settle it as Daredevil.
Nice.
2 more senses. Come on.
Taste.
Taste. So taste. What he can do is he can taste the soil.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not
right?
great.
It's not great, but he can taste the soil and he can tell where did it come from.
Interesting. Okay.
And part of that is also if something's poisoned, he can tell if it's poisoned before. Like he can have a minuscule amount of it, and he can tell that's poisoned. And the last one is touch.
Touch, yeah.
Right. And so the touch is he can sort of like, and this goes into what is Daredevil's radar sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where all of these senses combined give him a type of sight without sight.
Right.
So like a bat.
Yeah, I was gonna
echolocation.
say like a bat. Yeah.
But but even more than a bat, right? Because he can sense the vibrations through his feet, right?
Interesting.
And he
okay.
can hear things and he can smell things, right?
It just sounds like a recipe for sensory overload, which I think you can explain.
Which is number
Yeah.
10, which is that he was, and this is we're not really going to get into that this much, that he was trained by a master named Stick.
What? Stick?
Yeah, who's also a blind man, who's an opponent of this ninja clan called the Hand. It is, we're not really going to talk that much about this side of Daredevil.
Okay, but basically he's learned to control it.
He's learned to control it, but it's actually not innately powerful.
What do you
Right.
mean?
It's that when his powers first arise,
Oh.
he is
They're debilitating.
He is paralyzed. He can't do
Right,
anything.
right,
and so he
right,
learns
right.
to control it, and he can learn to hone it, and he can learn to raise it. He can learn
Right,
to raise certain senses, so he's more effective.
Right.
Yeah.
So, after all that, why Daredevil? Why is that his moniker? There doesn't seem to be any link to the senses.
Well, it's just he's reckless.
Okay, so it's
Right.
more about his personality.
Well, it's part of that, but it's also like, so he has this thing called a billy club.
A what?
A billy club, which is kind of like it essentially functions.
Nunchucks?
Yeah, but he also can extend it with a rope, so it kind of functions like Spider-Man's web slinging.
Okay.
And note, Matt Murdock does not have enhanced strength or agility or anything.
Right.
Right? He's just a guy.
Like fighting wise, he's a regular dude.
Yeah, but he's trained by Stick, and so he's operating at peak performance and everything, right? But how many people, ordinary people, if they see someone falling off a building, can jump off the building and grab the person and then use the billy club, right? So that Daredevil can, because he can't see what he's jumping into.
Okay.
So this is man without fear,
Ah, okay.
right?
okay, going
Because
back
he's
to
not
point
afraid of
6.
things. Yes, because he's not afraid of things, right?
Okay.
Because he can't see them, but it's also just innate to his personality that he's just
Right.
barreling
I mean, because
forward.
I'm personally sense man. Four sense. Anyway.
Right. Okay. And so now here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to get at, right?
Yes.
We're talking about a character, Matt Murdock, right?
Yeah.
Who exists in a comic book, a visual medium,
Ooh. He can't read his own comics.
and he can't read it in the way we can because part of the character is his sense of touch can actually detect differences in ink.
Ooh.
So he could actually read, but it wouldn't look like it
Yeah,
would to
yeah,
us
yeah.
because he can't see,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's what makes the character so special.
Right.
And that's why every time a writer and artist come to the table to Daredevil, they're not just thinking about, oh, what's the really cool situation I could put Daredevil in the same way I could put Batman or Superman. It's how can I tell that story,
Mm.
right? I'm dealing with a character that can't engage with the world the way the reader can. How can
Right.
I immerse the reader?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about immersion, right, when you're trying to immerse a reader into it, right, you can't just use standard bubbles and panels in the same way you could use for Batman or Superman, right? We're going beyond, like, sometimes comic books are just approximating a film's vocabulary,
Mm.
right, a visual vocabulary.
Mm.
But now we're like thinking about the comic book. What can the comic do that nothing else can do,
Mm. Okay.
right?
Because it's also about portraying the heightened other senses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you're going to, okay, and this takes us to what we're going to be reading today, okay, which is we're reading Daredevil Volume 4, Issue 1.
Daredevil Volume 4, Issue 1.
Okay, when I say volume, I mean that's just, they renumbered it.
Okay.
So like a lot of different, I think now we're on, I think now it's Volume 6. Like present day, that's where the characters. And it's just sometimes they reset it for marketing reasons and storytelling purposes. We're at Volume 4, Issue 1, by Mark Waid and Chris Samnee. Mark Waid is the writer, Chris Samnee is the artist. This is the midpoint of their run. I actually think they renumbered it because it was 50 years of Daredevil. And I think there was 50 years without fear. That was the reason for the renumbering.
Sure. Yeah.
And even though it's the midpoint, this is actually a jumping in point. That's why it's issue 1. And where it opens, and you're going to see this, is that he's actually not in Hell's Kitchen.
Oh.
He's in San Francisco.
Okay.
Because Matt Murdock has been disbarred from performing law in the state of New York.
Naughty boy.
And so there's a lot of reasons for why, but the big reason, and this is the exciting reason, and perhaps relevant to this issue, is that it's because the identities of Matt Murdock and Daredevil have collided.
Oh, it's public knowledge.
It's public knowledge that he is Matt Murdock and Daredevil is Matt Murdock because due to some blackmail with villains, the only way for him to escape it was to actually say in a court of law that he is Daredevil and admit it.
Right. Okay.
And before that, the run was playing around a lot with everyone's like, okay, we know you're Daredevil. And he's like, I'm not Daredevil. And so it's this kind of tongue-in-cheek thing.
Right.
There's one great issue where he goes to a Christmas party and he's wearing a red sweater and it says, I'm not Daredevil.
Okay.
And there's also there's a character who's like, he's flirting with, and she puts on her bra, Daredevil, and then like flashes him.
Oh.
To see if he'll have any reaction because everyone thinks he's not blind. They don't know how his powers work.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's just some context on what the identity of the character is at this moment. You know, we're talking about this Mark Waid run.
Okay.
But I want you to know, behind the scenes, right? I've been violently pitching to our producers Daredevil Sans. Because there's so many good issues.
Like a
of
whole
Daredevil.
other podcast.
I was reading so much. We'll see what happens. But I want to do multiple episodes of Daredevil this season.
We'll see how this one goes.
We'll see how this one goes. Yeah, maybe you'll read it and you'll be like, this is ass.
This sucks.
What do you mean he can't see? Superman can see. That's ableist, Nat. I can't believe you'd say that. That's really bad.
I just want to apologize via an iPhone Notes apology to everyone for saying things through Yen's mouth.
Thank you. We're looking at a devil-may-care attitude. We're talking about this is a blind man who dresses in red and jumps off of buildings into the path of gunmen.
Nice.
That's where we're at with the
I'm ready. Let's go. Is there anything else you want to tell me? Because I'm itching to read.
There's just a little bit more.
Okay. Sorry.
So this issue, Nat, I want you to take a look at the boldness of the character.
Boldness.
Yeah, I want you to look at how Waid and Samnee and Javier Rodriguez, that's the colorist, use these colors, use the rounded edges, use the sharp frame to tell this story of the man without fear.
Okay.
I'm just, one caveat
Sure.
is that the last page or two connects to something else that I don't need, you're going to be confused by it. We don't need to.
Sure.
I just want you to look at what I think is the best chase sequence I've ever seen in a comic book.
You're really setting my expectations high, Ian.
I know. I gotta make.
I read a lot of chase sequences in comic books.
Oh, I know. I know you love your chase sequences in comic books.
That classic thing that I enjoy.
Daredevil Sans. Daredevil Sans.
Say it with me,
Wait,
everyone.
I can hear them.
Daredevil Sans.
I'm gonna do the network a bit. Open your window and shout out Daredevil Sans.
No one's gonna get that.
We're mad as hell and we're not gonna take it anymore. Okay. Actually, huge lasting.
Sure.
Very lasting. Nat's actually going to be reading a floppy for the first time because, like I said,
I'm scared.
My collection of Daredevil is pretty huge.
My hands are sweaty. Is this concerning to you?
It's okay. I mean, I'm not a person who believes in collecting for resale. I believe in collecting to read.
Okay.
Right. So just don't
I can put on gloves.
Don't salivate. Don't.
I'll try.
Oh man.
You already described some pretty juicy things going on in Daredevil in general, so
Yeah, just don't do anything grody, but just read it, don't fold the corners. But I'm really excited that Nat's actually reading a floppy for the first time. I think that's really cool.
And so just a reminder, as we mentioned at the start of the episode, we're not doing the read-along section anymore. However, we will be doing a recap of what I just read in the next section before we get into the discussion. So don't worry if you can't get your hands on the comic.
Just on that, just to remind you a couple options of how you can read it.
Sure.
You can read it you can get it from a library.
Yeah.
You can read it from a comic book store.
Yep. You can go to Yen's house.
Or you could use the Marvel Unlimited app. And that's an option. For some, it depends on what region you're in. I don't think it's available globally, but that's a way to read it online.
Hey, VPNs exist. Hey, NordVPN, sponsor us.
And you can read it online, and that may have a panel-by-panel view, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, Nat's reading the floppy.
Yes.
With the page turns and with the ads. He's going to have ad breaks, folks.
Ads?
Yes.
There are ads?
Yes, it's like a magazine.
Holy smokes, guys.
Okay.
We'll see you on the other side. On that, I know what we'll say. We'll see you on the next page. But we say it at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, you can't say
we'll
that.
see you when I see you.
You're not gonna see them. And also, I don't like how we're literally talking about Daredevil and you're forcing C.
We will touch you when we touch you.
Oh, brother. Okay, Nat. Okay, you're bending it immediately. Immediately you're bending it. We start recording again and immediately you're folding it up. You're crumpling it up in a little pieces of paper.
You know, just a welcome back would be nice.
No.
Okay. Well, welcome back, listener.
Okay, sure.
I just finished reading Daredevil Volume 4.
Yes.
Issue 1.
Yes.
It was great. The chase sequence was really good. Let me do
Okay.
Let me do a recap.
No, I'm directing the recap.
You're directing
You're
the
not
recap.
I am the captain of this ship.
Okay.
Nat.
Aye, Captain.
Nat,
Yes.
give me 5 keywords for this issue.
Okay. Girl,
Yeah?
bomb,
Yeah?
chase,
Okay.
elevator,
Uh-huh.
Daredevil.
Okay. So those are the big beats.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, now just tell us a little bit more.
Okay, so we kind of start with, I guess, a particular woman, don't know who she is, I don't know who she is, her daughter has been kidnapped.
Yes.
Right, so there's some sort of ransom note, and so she has contacted and contracted Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock. It's out in the open now. So she has reached out to him to help her with this search. He does his Daredevil-y thing. He like touches a doll and he's like, oh, this thing feels like it's got radiation on it. Oh, interesting. And then he touches a piece of, that was on paper, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, it's the ransom note.
Yeah. He was listening to a recording and he's like, the acoustics are like, feels like he's going to a different room.
Yes.
And then the other guy's like, hey, we all can hear it, dude. We're not an idiot. But he's like, hey, I can hear more things. Anyway, so he uses his like senses as the sense man, as I call him, to figure out more details about this kidnapping. They've narrowed it down to this sort of island where there has been sort of radioactive waste.
Yep.
And so they make their way there. And then we kind of just cut to him with the girl.
Yep.
He has retrieved the girl.
Yep.
And he's zooming through the streets of New York with his
Billy Club.
Billy Hooky Club thing.
Yeah, which is also which doubles as his walking stick when he's Matt Murdock.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
But it's very Spider-Man-ish, the way he's sort of like going through buildings. He's complaining that the buildings are too far apart. So it's very Spider-Man-y. And these creatures of some sort, I can't really tell what or who they are chasing him. And so they're chasing him.
And they're flying.
Yeah, and they're flying on these sort of hoverboard, sort of Green Goblin sort of situation.
Exactly, Green Goblin vibes, yeah.
Yeah, so they're... is it really?
Yeah.
Is
well,
this related?
it's that they're using that same tech.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So they're chasing him. And then he's using his... I almost said Spidey senses. He's using his Daredevil senses to navigate. He's not really familiar with San Francisco, but he has someone in his ear, this friend who's using Google Maps to help him direct him around. At some point, he uses what he believes to be the girl's watch to direct him around the city.
Yep.
To be like, oh, no, when he drops her.
Yes.
And then he's trying to catch her and then he listens to her watch. But later on, he realizes, hang on. He talks to her and she's like, it's not a watch, it's a bracelet. And he's like, wait, then what's that ticking I hear? And he's like, holy crap, there's a bomb inside her.
Yes.
And it's ticking. And then he notices it's the sound of a radio receiver or whatever. So then he's like, this is all a trap. They're not trying to catch me. They're just chasing me so that I bring this living bomb to a crowded area and explode people. And so then he gets the great idea to go to a hospital, which sounds like a bad idea at the top of it. But then he's like, all hospitals by law have an elevator. And elevators have no signal. So they can't detonate the bomb if I'm in an elevator. So he goes to a hospital and he's in an elevator, and that's kind of where the floppy ends. And then it's the last 2 pages, which we won't talk about.
Yes.
How was that for a recap?
That was pretty good, man.
Pretty good.
Yeah, you hit all the beats. And I got excited again just thinking about how good this issue is.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah, let's
I mean, you can't go wrong with a chase sequence.
Well, I think, yeah, sure, but I don't think that discounts how hard it is to do it well.
Right,
also,
right. Yeah.
Right?
And I'm probably not appreciating that in its full capacity, but that's what you're here for.
So we can talk about a bunch of different things, but let's start with this watch twist.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So when does he find that out? Can you go to that page?
Sure. So there's a moment where they have a brief, like, sort of respite.
Yeah.
They're hiding from the pursuers. They're sort of sitting on the ledge of a building, I believe. Yeah, right here. And the girl is sort of freaking out. She's like, I want my mommy. And he's like, okay, and he has his internal monologue. He's like, don't get flustered. Just keep the fight away from crowds and focus on the kid. She's about to lose it. Say something. And so he goes, I like your watch. And she goes, it's not a watch, see? It's a bracelet.
Okay. I'm not gonna clap. But what does the panel look like?
Which one?
The one where he's discovering that it's not a watch.
Right. Well, actually, that happens before.
right? It happens.
Yeah,
it happens
because
throughout.
let me describe it.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about the
So throughout this whole floppy, there are moments when he is sort of sensing things.
using his radar sense.
Yeah, using the radar sense.
Yeah.
And whenever that happens, the panel kind of goes pink. It goes washed, this sort of magenta hue. Okay, basically you see like a magenta background, and then you see the outline or the silhouette of like whatever he's looking at, and it's kind of covered in this like pink stripes.
Yeah.
It kind of looks a bit radioactive-y. It looks like sort of
I mean, it's like sound waves bouncing off of a surface.
Right. And so this happens here. It also happens earlier when he drops the girl accidentally. I think that's the first time we see it in this floppy, that same magenta, pinkish kind of overlay. Yeah.
And so this is what I'm getting to about immersion, and that is not something that's existed across the character. The radar sense is, but that's a very
how it's portrayed.
This is a very specific thing that kind of starts with the Mark Waid run, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
I could be totally off base here, but the way it's used, the way it's deployed by Chris Samnee within this run, it's just like these snippets into the insight of Daredevil's perspective. Right. So the rest of the time we're getting it from an objective view outside. We're getting the colors. We're seeing it from outside. And then once in a while, when it really matters, right, we're getting it from his view. And so if we go back to that long panel of when she's falling and he's seeing multiple versions of her because she's falling from so high, right? Right above that, what's that?
His eyes. It's a zoom in on his eyes.
It's a tiny panel of just his eyes.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's cueing us, oh, okay, now we're in his head. Right? And, you know, if we're thinking in terms of film, think about it. It's like the camera zooms and it shoots and it goes behind the character's eye. It's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's not possible.
Yeah.
You can only do that in comic books.
Yeah. But it's crystal clear.
You don't even think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Right?
At no point where you're like, wait, why is it suddenly pink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, it's so seamless, right? That it's actually weirder to break it down. Right? Like you didn't even notice, you didn't even really think about that. You just kind of, it just flows. It just moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I really love about this issue and why it's such a dynamic chase sequence is because it just flows. You're just flipping. You're just like, oh my gosh, I gotta know what's happening.
Yeah.
Why is he taking this girl to a
hospital
when she knows she's a bomb?
Yeah.
And then that goes back to, you know, my 10 points of Daredevil, right?
Yeah.
The lawyer thing.
Right.
Why does he know there's an elevator?
By law.
By law, that has to be an elevator.
Yeah.
It's just a fantastic integration of all these different bits.
But I mean, if you went to any tall building, chances of there not being an elevator is pretty slim.
Yeah, but he knows which one's going to have one immediately. And it's also, you know, it's a little comic book, it's a little storytelling, right?
Empire State Building?
He's not in New York, you
Oh,
stupid.
yeah.
He's famously in San Francisco.
You know, Apple headquarters? I'm sure they got elevators.
Tell me about something else. Tell me about a different moment in here.
I mean, the chase sequence in general.
Which is most of the...
It's like 80% of the book, 90%.
Okay, let's talk about the panel shapes.
Really dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, even I'm looking at one right now where they're sort of side by side. There's one of him running and talking to the person in his ear they put friend in inverted commas, so I assume it's his lover at the time.
Yeah, they've got this on and off. She's the one who does the bra thing that I brought up.
Okay. So yeah, the side by side, or he's on the left side and then she's on the right side talking to him, and then they have this really interesting like jagged zigzag gap in between the two panels.
The gutter. The thing you're describing is the gutter.
The gutter,
right? The space between the panels.
The gutter is a zigzag. It's to kind of connote like that they're communicating.
Like a lightning bolt, like electricity, right?
Yeah. And just it's really dynamic across the board. A lot of diagonal lines. The one where she's falling, just really narrow vertical panels.
Let's go back to the falling.
Sure.
Right? The second one of her falling. Is there a border to that panel?
No, she's in the page.
She's in the page. She's in the white space.
Right, so let me describe that a bit.
Yeah.
So we have 4 columns in the bottom of the page. The first column on the left is sort of his hand reaching for her hand. And then the second panel is her falling, but there is no border to the panel, right? She's on the white page that the other panels sit on.
Yeah. She's not like on the grid, right? And so we get this sense of there's no limit.
She's really falling.
Yeah, there's
really
an endlessness to it, right?
Yeah. And then it gets narrower with the third one, and there's a bunch of birds, and then the fourth one is the eye and the pink that we talked about earlier. That's really nice. The falling one was really nice. Let me just flip through. A lot of curved lines as well on this next page. You know, it seems like a typical sort of 6-panel structure, but just there's a slight curve.
Yeah.
I guess it just creates that dynamism.
And the way, where's it curved? Which direction is it curved in?
Well, it starts lower on the left and then goes up towards the right.
Right. So if I'm reading it right, I'm going across left to right. And then there's this line, this diagonal line that's bringing me back down to the next panel.
Right.
right? It's just speeding me up. I'm like on a slide. My eyes on a slide, just going straight through.
It's like a marble run.
Yeah. Yeah, if you drop a marble in the gutter, that's how it's going to roll.
Yeah. And, in this particular page, there's a really nice parallel with his billy hook.
Yeah, the billy club extends from the white
Sorry, I
page.
keep calling it billy hook.
Because it's got a hook at the end. But
Yeah.
the billy club extends, which is white, extends from the white space of the gutter.
And it mirrors that sort of curvature in the panels here.
Man, comic books are so good, people.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're okay.
I just can't emphasize enough how good this comic is.
What else we got? We got another really interesting curved line here that also continues from an action line within the panel. So we kind of have Daredevil flipping over someone. And I think what I liked about this in general with the chase sequences is that the sort of angles and positions that they put Daredevil in are really like, it's all over the place. You get
the composition.
The composition. You get the close-ups, you get him upside down, sometimes you just get his mid-body, like you don't see his head. It captures the feeling of like, in a chase sequence in a movie, you have people holding the cameras. You're not gonna get smooth dolly shots. You're gonna get like the camera's gonna shake a bit. Someone's head is gonna go out of frame. And like, it's just really quick cuts. You get that sense here with the paneling, trying to capture that franticness. And so in this particular one, there's an action line as he flips upside down that kind of blends in beautifully with the curve here. So that's really, really nice.
Yes. I want to actually rewind a bit.
Sure.
I want to rewind a bit. So this issue, well, it's issue 1, right?
Yeah.
So it's a jumping in point, right? And so that actually means there's a lot of information the reader needs to catch up on, right? And so there's these 2 splash pages.
Oh, yeah. I did skip over that.
Yeah. And I want you, could you describe what's going on in these
I mean,
pages?
it read to me like exactly what you would see in like a superhero movie, right? Like even in like every Miles Morales movie. Every time they introduce a new character, right? They go over the origin story. Like, my name is Miles Morales. I was a blah, 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 and then going through how they got their powers. So this
that's the text, right?
Right,
what's the page?
Oh, okay. Actually, good point. So, but just to let the listener know, this is the recap of his origin story.
Yes.
So it goes, life isn't fair. When I was a boy, I did something good and was struck blind as a reward. Honestly, reads kind of boring. If you want a more interesting rendition of this, you can just rewind and listen to my reenactment
I don't think that's true.
of the origin story. I think that's arguably a better sort of presentation.
I don't think that's true.
But sure. And then, but there were compensations. My other senses were magnified to superhuman levels. I could see all around me with a virtual radar. And I guess what you're talking about here is in terms of the colors and the composition, we see that pink coming in. This is actually the first time, but I didn't register it in this moment because I didn't understand the context of it.
Yeah.
But and then it's sort of this, what's the word? Concentric circles.
Rings, yeah.
Yeah. Different, just I guess, snapshots of his life, about him lawyering as a kid, the waist falling on his face. And then he is like kind of swinging front and center through all those panels. Bam! Daredevil.
Right. And so where are the rings extending from?
Where are the rings? His head.
His head.
It's
the radar
his
sense.
Cranium.
It's the radar sense going outwards. You're really happy. You look so chuffed that you said cranium.
That's a good word.
It's the radar sense extending from his head, right?
Yeah.
And it's concentric rings going outwards, and also it's chronological. The outermost ring is the start.
Right.
And we work inwards, right? So it's, tell me what's in the rings.
Oh, and that's okay, so it starts at the outside. That's him saving the old man, toxic waste falling on his face.
Yep.
Then the next inner circle is him lying in hospital with bandages over his eyes. Then it goes inside. He's lawyering in one panel. And then another panel, he's wearing what I assume is the yellow suit.
Yeah, that's the yellow suit.
The yellow suit with just one D.
Yeah.
And then he's swinging down in the middle and he's wearing double D on his chest. And I'm not gonna talk about what that could possibly be interpreted as, double D's on the chest. But I just want to say, not a great choice of logo.
Nat sucks, guys. I don't know. Like, this is just like, why does he say these things? Please write an email to comicsands@andasproductions.com.
Well, now you get it right.
Yeah,
now you get it right.
Yes, if they're gonna complain about you.
If I'm a superhero and I'm like, hey guys, my logo is gonna be 2 Ds on my chest. Nobody went like, hey Matt, maybe.
Wait, Nat, let me, Nat, get your head out of the gutter and then into the gutter of the comic book page. There we go. Now I'm chuffed.
You're chuffed?
I'm chuffed.
You're well pleased?
I'm positively chuffed.
Someone had to say it.
Nobody did. Nobody had to say it.
Someone had to
Nobody
say
had to say it.
That's a really good page. It covers all the content you need to know and presents it in a way that is not overwhelming.
And it's telling like 3 different things at once.
Yeah.
It's just insane how much information is packed into that page, right?
Yeah.
Like exposition-wise, it's not, but how it's being told is incredible. Because it ends, right? It ends at him. And so, we're seeing all the rings converge, and that's what makes him Daredevil.
Yeah, the next page. Okay, yeah, this is interesting as well. We kind of still get the motif of the concentric circles, but it's in a much more abstract way.
But what's the central image?
So the background image is New York City, Empire State, front and center. And at the top is sort of, I guess, the emblem of his mask.
Yep.
And then it's just like little fragments of other circles that are also tinted the pink, but also orange and blue. And
Well, what's in them?
these? These are, I see. These are like, it's also New York City, but then seen through his radar.
Exactly.
Right.
So we, the reader, gets the skyline view, which is not something Matt Murdock gets. And then we're getting the little snippets of the overlay of what Matt Murdock gets, which is different tinges. Tell us what are in those panels.
Well, some of them are just the same building continuing, but just in the pink overlay. But there's also like things that are more zoomed in, right? Which I guess points to like how he can sort of look across really far distances and hone into things.
Yep.
So there is, I can't tell what this is, air conditioning piping that's just going. Vzz.
Well, okay, Nat, I'm about to blow your mind.
What?
Okay, no, actually, you keep going.
Okay. A coffee cup.
Yep.
With smoke coming out,
Yep.
steam coming out.
Yep.
Cars.
Yep.
Two people talking in an alleyway. I don't know what this is called. A water thingy.
Silo tower.
Silo tower. A flag blowing in the wind. This looks like bread.
That's smoke.
No. Look at this. This one. That's bread, bro. It's bread.
Oh no, you're right. That is bread. That is right. You're right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. That's bread. Okay, you ready for this?
What are you gonna blow my mind with?
So Javier Rodriguez, the colorist.
Yeah. It's colorblind.
No.
Oh.
No, the different colors correspond to the different senses.
Oh. Okay, so orange is sound.
Yeah.
He's hearing the flag. He's hearing the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Green is heat.
Yeah. So I think the green. Well, so okay. The blue is like taste. No, the blue is smell,
Right.
and the green is taste.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And taste and smell are so closely linked anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know if you can't smell things, you can't taste things?
That's not entirely true.
Okay.
You lose 70% of your
Just want to
taste.
put out another iPhone note apology
Yeah,
about
thank you.
the
Yeah.
false statements I've been
totally
perpetuating on this podcast.
We still have a palate. Our tongue still can.
Okay, but your taste can be severely altered
Yes.
by your smell. Like
Yeah,
if you
yeah. And
smell
you-
something and you eat something different, you could, anyway.
Correct.
Anyway, yeah, that's really cool. I
Yeah.
did not notice that the first time I read it. Yeah.
And again, another instance where they're just firing on all cylinders. They did not, this is what I always love about Daredevil, and specifically this issue. They just didn't have to go this hard. They could have just had a text page, and it's just like, because
Here's my origin story.
Here's what Daredevil.
Yeah,
Daredevil
yeah.
was this. No, they're like, no, we're gonna do this in like 6 different ways. Oh yeah, by the way, he's not in New York anymore, so we're gonna give you this page that shows you how all 4 of his senses are so keenly attuned to the city
Of New York.
and
And then go to San
bam,
Francisco.
he's in San Francisco, and is the next page he's like kind of
Well,
falling.
the first page is a palm tree, which
Yeah.
is great because that's like totally not New York.
No.
Right? So you're like, New York, turn the page, palm tree.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. And then the first text box, this is not New York.
Amazing.
Amazing. Storytelling at its finest.
Nat, it's season 2, episode 1. I'm feeling a little nostalgic. Do you remember what the first thing we talked about in episode 1 of Comic Sans was? What the big thing I wanted to talk about was?
Well, not the comic. Because comic was Saga.
The comic was Saga, but what was the big thing I wanted to talk about?
The page turn.
The page turn. He
And,
remembers.
and for anyone jumping in at this point,
Yeah.
let me give the primer.
Please, Nat.
On the page
by all
turn.
means.
So something beautiful about the comic book, as espoused by Yen,
Mhm.
is that there is the physical act of turning the page. And
Correct.
you get that in other book mediums.
Yeah.
But something about the comic and the way that the writer can position, because in a novel, the writer isn't thinking about the last word of the page.
No, not at all.
But in the comic they are.
Yeah.
You're thinking about the last panel on the page, the last thing you see before you turn the page. And so there's an aspect of ending on a sort of cliffhanger or subverting expectations when you flip the page, or fulfilling expectations.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of things you can
Yes.
do with that page turn. But there is an expectation set up, and then there is an expectation either fulfilled, subverted, wrecked.
Thank you.
How was
Thank
that?
you. That was great.
Thank
Good
you,
job,
thank
man.
you.
Good job.
Hey, I'm a good learner.
Yeah, and so I want to just, talk about the page turns when we get to the closing of this chase sequence. Can you tell me what's going on?
Right. So on this particular page, and segue. We didn't talk about this panel. The panel that is just words. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. So in this panel, like instead of a box, the shape of the panel is block letters.
Yep.
And inside the block letters, you see Daredevil's cranium.
Okay, thank
with
you.
some concentric circles coming out of it. But
Yep.
the panel is literally the word ding.
Yeah.
Which is like, to communicate that this all-encompassing sort of sound that he is detecting.
Yep.
It's not just a ding, it's a ding.
Ding.
It's a hard D.
It matters.
It's ding. You know?
Let's
Ring a ding ding. And then after that, what we were actually talking about, he slides into the elevator, and then the last panel on this page is what everyone assumes to be the gloved hand of one of the villains tapping the bomb to detonate it. And it's a close up on the fist with the thumb and the detonator, and it's just tap 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 tap. Then you turn the page, and it's an ad, and then you're instantly like, "What?
No, Nat, don't be cheeky."
And you see this guy with his shiny head.
For comic book fans, it's Uwatu. and if we're gonna talk about the ads at all, I think the funny thing about reading the ads and the floppies is how much they are a time capsule. Also, like they represent a very specific.
Because they had the dates.
They have the dates, and it's just such a different era, right? So this is an event, Original Sin. Nobody remembers Original Sin. And another one of the ads earlier is Captain America: Winter Soldier, which is like 20 Marvel movies ago.
Okay, anyway, so you turn the page, you skip the ad, and you get to them not exploding.
Yes.
Right? So there's that sort of that moment where you're like,
I mean, that's that moment of suspension when you're turning the corner, right? When you're turning the page and you don't know, is it going to explode or not?
Yeah. And then it's just Daredevil saying, hit the stop switch. It's good. It's good. It's really good. That's a good page turn.
And there's still one more.
Which one?
There's one more page turn at the end of this one, at the end of this page.
Oh, at the end of this page?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the final panel of this page is a horizontal panel across the whole page with Daredevil having an internal monologue where he says, "Who planned this? Who's monstrous enough to use a little girl as a living weapon? What's the goal?" So he gets out of the elevator, he's looking out a window and he's thinking these questions. He's stuck in his own thoughts. And then one of the Green Goblin dudes is just zooming around the corner about to intersect with him. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Is Daredevil going to get hurt? And you turn the page, and it's a full panel page of Daredevil smashing the glass mask of the dude. And I guess it's not the dude's POV, it's Daredevil's POV.
It's the reflection in the glass.
Looking at his reflection in the glass. It's pretty good. This is a good page. This is a genius
And
page.
we go back to the previous page, right?
Sure.
It's like, how many panels are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's quite a lot.
It's panel.
Right? And so you're like, and then there's this big boom.
Let's show it again. Boom!
Man, comics are so much better than audio.
Comics are so much better with audio.
Ooh, interesting.
And that's why this podcast exists.
So, Nat, we used to close every episode with me asking if you see the value of the comic book.
Yes.
And I don't think we're going to do that anymore because I think you know enough now and you don't need to be convinced so much about the value of the medium as a whole.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, shut the hell up, man. I hate this guy. No, and we're not going to focus so much on the, what this specific issue is doing for the medium as a whole.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about the story itself and what the book is doing.
Sure.
So my first question for you is, would you keep reading?
I'm open to it. What I was going to say is that I think this particular issue that I read, it was fun. It was a fun chase sequence. It's exciting. But I can tell that, based on the Yant that you gave at the start, there's a lot of meat to this character that I think this issue doesn't go into, right? The Catholic guilt, sort of all that, the idea of his upbringing and his promiscuity, and I think there's a lot of meat to that I've not uncovered yet.
Yes.
So, based on if I just had this issue alone in a vacuum, I'd be like, oh, that's fun. I wouldn't keep reading. But because I have the context that there's so much more to this character, and I guess the fact that he is definitively your favorite superhero of all time, I guess my answer has to be, my answer has to be, I'm open to it.
Well, that's good, Nat, because, that's great for me for Daredevil Sans. Because if I have my way, you're going to be reading a couple more issues of Daredevil.
Hey, I won't object. That's all I'll say at this moment. I'm not going to violently object, so...
Music to my ears.
Music to your ears.
And can you imagine how that music would sound to Daredevil? I was going in the direction of that it'd be incredibly beautiful. Like he'd be so much more affected by it.
As they say, beauty is in the ears of the beholder.
Okay.
See what I said there? Very inclusive. I didn't say eyes.
So now the second question, Nat.
Yes.
Okay, and this is new.
It's new. I'm ready.
Yeah. and it's coming in the form of a phrase.
So it's not a
So
question.
brace yourself. Brace yourself that
phrase.
there may not be a question mark at the end of it.
Okay.
Okay. If you like blank, you may like this issue of Daredevil.
And my job is to fill in the blank.
Your job is to fill in the blank.
How about you go first? Let's both answer it while I
okay,
think of my
okay,
answer.
okay.
You tell the listener what they would
Okay, if you liked, I think my answer is this. My answer is this. Okay. If you liked, well, I'm not a huge fan of this movie, but I think stylistically they're quite similar. I think if you liked Baby Driver by Edgar Wright, you may like this issue of Daredevil because it's got that same sense of kinetic energy, right? So also if you like some of the Mission Impossible chase sequences, yeah, I think that's my answer.
Yeah. I mean, my answer was going to be very similar because, I mean, the highlight of this episode was a chase sequence.
Yeah.
So I was going to go, if you like the old Jackie Chan movies.
Oh, that's great, actually. That's really good because there's a sense of physicality to the Jackie Chan movies, right?
That sort of like, boom, pow.
And he's bringing in like the boxes and the crates, and there's always little makeshift weapons. I think that's great. Yeah. Okay.
So if you like Jackie Chan movies and Baby Driver, hey,
give it a go.
Give it a go.
Yeah. And now I've got my own little follow up.
Sure. I
Right.
mean, I'm not going to stop you.
And
What am I
I'm
going to do?
gonna-
I'll stop the recording?
I'm inverting the sentence.
Sure.
If you liked Daredevil Volume 4 Issue 1, you may like
Oh.
blank. And my answer is Firepower by Robert Kirkman and Chris Samnee. So that's the overlap. Chris Samnee, who did this issue of Daredevil. And I think it's got that same sense of kinetic joy. I think Chris Samnee just draws incredible characters. They just look so beautiful and smooth, and that same style is extended to Firepower, which is actually a riff off of martial arts movies.
So it's a full circle.
Synergy.
But is there Catholic guilt?
There's no Catholic guilt in
Well-
Firepower. Sorry, everyone.
But that's the whole pipeline, So hey, if you want to follow this pipeline, if you like Jackie Chan and Baby Driver,
Yep.
then you read this. After you read this, you read Firepower, and that's it.
Perfect.
That's the Comic Sans pipeline.
And then you're done.
And then you're done with life. You're all good from there. Go forth and conquer.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thanks.
For listening.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'm going to make Nat read more Daredevil in future. I've decided.
This season?
No matter what anyone says.
Okay.
No matter what anyone says.
We hope you're excited for season 2. It's going to get crazier. It's going to get zanier. It's going to get wackier.
Yep.
But you're also going to be learning some stuff, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. We've been talking about what we're going to be
And
reading.
mainly from me.
Okay, no. I've been talking with our producers about the stuff we're going to be reading. I'm really excited about a lot of it. I think we're going to be covering a lot of interesting ground, reading a lot of things people may not have heard of, and some things people have heard of.
So on that note,
Thanks for listening to Comic Sans.
very good.
And we'll see you on the next page.
He nailed it. Thanks for listening to Comic Sans. This is a show by Andas Productions, hosted by Yant and Nathaniel Ma, and produced by Roshan Singh Sambhi and Scott Lee Chua. Our cover art is by Isabel Fang. If you enjoyed what you just heard, don't forget to follow and rate the show. And while you're at it, follow us on social media at Comic Sans Pod or at the links in the description.